Mr. Anderson.
Run, Neo, run.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the most entertaining and well-executed fight scenes from cinema. We'll only be considering close combat in live-action films, and excluding any war battles, car chases, or shootouts.
I didn't expect it to be that effective.
What kind of response are we talking?
100%.
Number 30, No Sleep Till Brooklyn, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. The Guardians of the Galaxy are an argumentative bunch, but when they do work together, there is little that can stand in their way. When the group attacks the lab of the High Evolutionary to rescue his test subjects, they have to make their way through a hallway full of his guards and mutated cyborg Hellspawn. Each of the Guardians gets their own chance to shine in this fight, which is delivered in one continuous shot and set to the dulcet tones of the Beastie Boys. Groot does some deadly growing, Nebula doesn't let her head nearly getting knocked off stop her, and Drax even does his actor's signature Batista bomb. It's a phenomenally executed sequence that feels right out of a comic book.
Did that look cool?
Number 29, Jackie Chan vs. Benny the Jet Urquidez, Wheels on Meals. In this film, Jackie Chan plays Thomas, who infiltrates a castle and is faced with a nameless goon played by Benny the Jet Urquidez.
呢條友好勁啊！唔使緊張，將自己放鬆，當練嘢咁同佢玩。
The latter may be playing a man with no name, but his fighting skills need no introduction. The two master martial artists go at it with a flurry of punches as well as high and low kicks. Chan's character gets the worst of it, at least until he lightens up and starts incorporating more unorthodox moves into his routine like tickling. He ultimately sends his foe out the window with a flying knee, only to pull him back in with the promise of another round.
大佬唔好放手啊！唔該你拉翻我上去啊！
And yes, Chen and Urquidez did indeed have a rematch. Number 28, Bus Fight, Nobody. Hutch Mansell is a retired assassin itching for some action, and he gets it when a rowdy group of gangsters boards his bus.
They say God doesn't close one door without opening another. Please, God, open that door.
He decides to vent by beating the crap out of them. It's not all smooth sailing, as Hutch takes plenty of hits and several stabs himself. But the ex-killer's incredible persistence scares even the gangsters. He uses everything from his watch to a passenger's purse to bits of the bus to ensure his opponents will be enjoying hospital food for a long time. Actor Bob Odenkirk is not the typical action hero, which, along with its realistic stakes, helps make this fight so amazing.
Run!
Thank you.
Number 27, Donnie Yen vs. Wu Jing, SPL, Sha Po Long. The penultimate fight of this Hong Kong crime action film sees Donnie Yen's Inspector Ma Quan pitted against Wu Jing's Jack, a knife-wielding assassin in an alleyway. The sequel, in name only SPL 2, sees a fun twist with Wu Jing in the heroic role.
发生什么事？
唔使俾地址啦，係嘛？
And while that is a nice tribute, there's no beating the original. The two combatants attack one another in a series of lightning-fast exchanges that leave them both coming away bloody. Not only is the speed of the fight jaw-dropping, behind-the-scenes features reveal that it's essentially all improvised. It's just two great fighters going at it until the director yelled cut.
OK， 4、1、2、3。
Number 26, Dread Pirate Roberts vs. Inigo Montoya, The Princess Bride. One of the all-time great gentlemanly duels, this clifftop sword fight is a fencing masterclass.
You are wonderful. Thank you. I've worked hard to become so. I admit it, you are better than I am. Then why are you smiling? Because I know something you don't know.
Inigo Montoya fights the Dread Pirate Roberts with the goal of preventing his pursuit of the princess they've rightfully stolen. The two men range all over the rocky terrain, with their witty remarks being as sharp as their swords.
You must expect me to attack with Capaferro. Naturally, but I find that Tybalt cancels out Capaferro. Don't you? Unless the enemy has a study, he's a gripper. Which I have.
They both fight using their right and left hands, utilize a variety of fencing styles, and even do some cool flips. With actors Cary Elwes and Mandy Patinkin performing most of the stunts themselves, and legendary choreographers Bob Anderson and Peter Diamond lending their expertise, it's as exciting and enchanting of a fairy tale duel as we could wish.
Please understand, I hold you in the highest respect.
Number 25. Mall Fight, Police Story. Perhaps the most explosive of Jackie Chan's on-screen fights. This brawl sees the martial artists Sergeant Shan Kakui attempt to protect a valuable witness and her data at a mall. However, the ensuing fight against goons demolishes much of the store and shatters what feels like more glass than every opera singer in history. The stunts, particularly the famous light fixture slide by Chan, are all incredible and bone-breakingly authentic. Meanwhile, the choreography is fast-paced and makes use of store displays, coat hangers, and even a motorcycle. Jackie Chan goes full Jackie Chan with this fight, delivering just pure action brilliance.
放下力气，这儿的事交给我们了，下去，这是我跟他的事，不要意气用事。这种人有法律制裁他的。法律是制裁没有钱请律师的人，不能制裁他。
Number 24. Hector vs. Achilles, Troy. It may be set in an epic, mythic war film, but this duel is intensely personal.
I thought it was you I was fighting yesterday. And I wish it had been you. But I gave the dead boy the honor he deserved.
Gave him the honor of your sword.
After Hector kills Patroclus, Achilles' cousin, mistakenly believing him to be Achilles, the two engage in a one-on-one fight outside the walls of Troy. The choreography of the duel tells a story and gives greater insight into both characters. Hector is a skilled and traditional fighter, while Achilles favors unconventional tactics. Their match utilizes spears and shields before transitioning to swords and shields, and then swords alone. Ultimately, though, Achilles' greater skill and endurance prevail, and he badly injures Hector before delivering the final blow. It is a magnificent and often underrated fight that even someone as arrogant as Achilles has to catch his breath afterwards.
I have endured what no one on earth has endured before. I kiss the hands of the man who killed my son.
Number 23. Ram vs. Beam, Triple R. This epic Indian action movie's fights all go for broke. While the final fight in the forest was also a contender, we had to highlight the long-building confrontation between its two protagonists, Komaram Bhim and Alluri Sitaram Raju.
Kambatalto chappanaktar. Longipo. Longipo.
Hindanakitlo maట్లాడుతున్నావు.
Longipo.
The two friends who are each on opposite sides are forced into conflict when Beam's dramatic rescue attempt at the governor's palace causes chaos. The emotions are at their peak throughout the fight, but so is everything else. Music, choreography, and spectacle. Every punch and grapple hits hard, and both friends' near superhuman strength is on display with fountains getting wrecked and a tiger meeting the blow of a fiery brazier. The battle has a mythic quality that's rare, and it's absolutely glorious. Number 22. Rooftop Fight, Who Am I? A spy with amnesia, who may or may not be Jackie Chan himself, is confronted by two henchmen on a rooftop in pursuit of a disc.
You got two choices. He lost the disc, jump off.
On number 2, we take the disc and throw you off.
He fights the first, played by Kwan Young, who primarily uses fists. Jackie then moves on to the second, played by Ron Smorenberg, who specializes in kicks. Then both goons take him on at the same time, with their fight sprawling all across the entire rooftop. In the end, Jackie is fighting so hard that the other two just throw in the towel altogether.
Don't hit me!
It's a magnificent brawl, utilizing the environment, the combatants' clothing, a little humor, a ton of grounded yet skilled moves, and some hair-raising stunts. Number 21. Glasses Fight, They Live. Ironically, sometimes a fight is spectacular because it lacks spectacle. Protagonist Nada tries to convince his friend Frank that aliens are among us by putting on special sunglasses.
I'm giving you a choice. Either put on these glasses or start eating that trash can.
When Frank refuses, the two of them come to blows. What follows is a long, drawn-out street brawl between two buddies. There's fisticuffs and wrestling moves, but as it goes on, things get personal, with biting and attacks to the groin. It truly feels like one of the most authentic and realistic fights ever put on film. And that's partly because actors Roddy Piper and Keith David were sometimes really hitting each other. Now that's dedication.
Take a look. Put him on.
Number 20. Captain America and the Winter Soldier versus Iron Man, Captain America Civil War. Captain America and the Winter Soldier have been involved in some of the MCU's most thrilling fight sequences. However, it's this one where they fight side by side that really gets us going. After Tony Stark learns that a brainwashed Bucky killed his parents and that Cap knew about it, he's out for blood. What follows is a brutal smackdown that trumps all previous hero-on-hero action. Ultimately, Cap is able to incapacitate Tony, but at great cost to the Avengers dynamic.
He's my friend. So was I.
Kudos to Marvel for being able to make fan-favorite Iron Man come across as an imposing third-act villain. Number 19. Train Fight, Spider-Man 2. Keeping this superhero train rolling a little longer, our next entry takes us to Spider-Man's confrontation with Dr. Octopus after he kidnaps Mary Jane.
Where is she?
Oh, she'll be just fine. Let's talk.
They soon find themselves atop an above-ground commuter train where the stakes are raised tenfold. With both wall-crawling adversaries able to explore the space in its entirety, director Sam Raimi and company orchestrate an exhilarating fight sequence that sees Spider-Man endure heaps of punishment from Ock's mechanical arms. In a cheap tactic, Ock disables the train's brakes and forces Spidey to wear himself out stopping it. Spider-Man may end up kidnapped himself, but not before he proved his heroism to the people of New York. Number 18. Bathhouse Fight, Eastern Promises. We realize we can't show all of this outstanding fight due to nudity, but we'd be remiss not to recognize its excellence.
He's in there. Tom, you will see the stars there on his chest.
When Nikolai is set up by his own organization to satisfy a rival mafia, two assassins approach him in a bathhouse armed with knives. Fortunately, Nikolai repels their attack and absolutely refuses to be taken out. Unafraid to get down and dirty, he soon becomes the most dangerous man in the room as he scratches and claws to wrestle their weapons away. Forcing one assassin's head down on his knife and stabbing the other's eye out, Nikolai walks away thoroughly bloody. In retrospect, they probably should have just walked up and shot him, but we're sure glad they didn't.
The Russian desk at Scotland Yard have made an official request to the Russian embassy that your undercover operation in London be terminated.
Number 17. Staircase Fight, Atomic Blonde. Now, here's a scene that shows just how exhausting fighting really is. Earlier in the movie, we got a taste of just how resilient Charlize Theron's Lorraine Broughton could be when she was ambushed by corrupt cops. But it's this stairwell fight that really takes our breath away. And hers. As she looks to protect a defecting Stasi agent from the KGB, Lorraine's extended bout follows her through multiple floors of an apartment building. Gradually and tiresomely, she fends off her attackers, until they're all dead. As impressive as the fight choreography is, what's really astounding is how long the seemingly unbroken shot lasts, as it's followed up with a car chase to boot. Number 16. Continuous Staircase Fight, The Protector. If you thought John Wick was enraged when his dog got killed, watch what Tony Jaa does when his elephant gets kidnapped.
ช้างเป็นสัตว์คู่บ้านคู่เมืองของคนไทยมานานแล้วนะพวกเรานับถือกันเหมือนญาติเหมือนพี่เหมือนน้องเหมือนพ่อเหมือนแม่เป็นเหมือนครอบครัวเดียวกันใครมารังแกไม่ได้หรอกนะคนไทยเขาถือ
Before making it to the restaurant where exotic animal connoisseurs plan to serve his prize pachyderm, Jaa's Kam must make it up several flights of stairs through an endless succession of baddies. With a Steadicam slowly following him all the way up, there's no question that this fight is a single-take marvel that must have taken a lot of work to perfect. But perfect it is, as Jaa sends bodies over railings and through doors and latticework. It just makes an already impressive movie that much better. Just for the love of God, don't watch the much-maligned US cut of the film. Number 15. Yu Xiaolian vs. Green Destiny, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. In a sword fight as high intensity as this, what's more vital? Being the better duelist or wielding the superior weapon?
剑要人用才能活，所以剑法即人法。
The more experienced Yu Xiulian intends to find out as she engages with Zhen Yu and the legendary sword dubbed Green Destiny. Though Xiulian holds her own, every weapon of hers eventually breaks at the might of the Green Destiny. Despite this, Xiulian ultimately holds the winning position with a broken sword. She then yields, and an indignant Zhen gives her a cheap slash, so neither is truly victorious. However, due to the fantastic stunt work executed by the two actresses, we'd say we're the real winners. Number 14. Cave Troll, The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring. Of all the fights on this list, this one might be the most underrated.
They have a cave troll.
That's probably due to it being lost in an epic trilogy chock full of thrilling clashes. But let's appreciate this one for a minute. Trapped in the mines of Moria, the Fellowship is beset upon by a horde of vicious orcs and one very imposing cave troll. A claustrophobic fight breaks out, one where our intrepid heroes prove their mettle and skill. While none of the good guys is killed, the fast-paced editing and threat level had us seriously on edge and gasping in our seats when Frodo is stabbed. This is high fantasy action at its finest.
I think there's more to this hobbit than meets the eye.
Number 13. Kitchen Scene, The Raid 2. There's something to be said for a fight scene that starts off slow and gradually builds intensity. While Rama goes on to confront the film's main villains afterwards, this bout with a top henchman in an immaculate kitchen sure feels like a finale. Director Gareth Evans had a high bar to clear following up The Raid Redemption, which is essentially one feature-length fight scene. But this entry makes the plot's more protracted nature feel worth the wait. Both actors' physicality is stellar, and the slowly crescendoing score gives the fight scene the epic feel it needs. By the end of it, the previously white floors and walls are splattered red, and our jaws are literally on the floor. Number 12. Maximus vs. Tigris, Gladiator. There's a reason this Best Picture winner stirred up such a fervor in the summer of 2000.
We who are about to die, salute you!
While it remains a visually compelling film with breathtaking cinematography, a lot of it had to do with the sword and sandals action scenes. The best of these comes when Russell Crowe's Maximus squares off against undefeated champion Tigris. The odds are stacked against Maximus, who has to fend off a handful of tigers as well. Initially overwhelmed, Maximus buckles down and gets some opportune cuts in, including a decisive sword to Tigris's foot. While the crowd doesn't get the execution they wanted, we think Maximus had it right earlier when he said,
"Are you not entertained?"
Number 11. Hallway Fight, Old Boy. Here's a fight that's won through sheer stamina and resilience.
어서 가라. 피 많이 흘렸다.
In the thinnest of hallways, Odesu is confronted by a gaggle of goons that seem insurmountable. However, Desu has been waiting too long to give up searching for his captor after 15 years of imprisonment. In one extended shot, Desu is repeatedly swarmed and beaten on the ground, only for him to rise again more ferocious than ever. He even gets stabbed in the back and presses on with the knife sticking out. Eventually, every single bad guy is writhing on the floor in pain, too exhausted to continue. We then smile along with Desu as he's greeted with an elevator full of more fodder. Number 10. Rotating Room Fight, Inception.
Because building a dream from your memory is the easiest way to lose your grasp on what's real and what is a dream.
Is that what happened to you?
To simplify a scene in a more complicated movie as much as possible, Joseph Gordon-Levitt's Arthur finds him protecting a dream level in between dream levels from the projections within. Due to being in a car chase in the previous level, Arthur's hotel design begins literally turning on itself. Inception could have been one of those movies that relied exclusively on CGI rather than practical effects. Instead, Christopher Nolan opted to literally turn a hallway over repeatedly to make the shifts in gravity realistic, which leads to a thrilling and wholly unpredictable fight scene. The environment created is just as impressive as the stunt performers. It'll make you dizzy, but it will also knock your socks off.
Did you see that?
Number 9. Restroom Fight, Mission Impossible Fallout. As it's gone on, the Mission Impossible series has somehow topped itself over and over again, continuing to raise the bar for high-octane stunts. However, in what could be the finest entry, it's this simple sequence in a nightclub bathroom that really stands out. Here, Ethan Hunt teams up with CIA operative August Walker in tracking down a nuclear weapons buyer known only as John Lark.
Looks like you lost your oxygen.
They confront a man they believe to be Lark, and a knock'em sock'em brawl breaks out. Despite sending the supposed Lark through a mirror and a support beam, they're given more than they can handle, and have to be bailed out by Faust. Also, this is where we get that iconic shot of Henry Cavill pumping his fists. Number 8. Obi-Wan vs. Anakin, Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. The prequels get a lot of flack, to say the least. But one thing they did give us were amazing lightsaber duels. Hell, the Darth Maul sequence at the end of The Phantom Menace blew all our minds. However, if you want an emotionally charged showdown, you cannot do much better than the finale of Revenge of the Sith. Set on the thematically appropriate lava planet of Mustafar, Obi-Wan and his former apprentice Anakin have a duel for the ages. It's as hot-blooded as the backdrop, and though we knew the outcome, we still held our breath. Star Wars had more thrilling moments ahead, but none quite so tragic.
You were the chosen one! It was said that you would destroy the Sith, not join them! Bring balance to the Force, not leave it in darkness!
Number 7. The Bride vs. the Crazy 88s, Kill Bill Volume 1. The incredible fight between the Bride and henchgirl Gogo already had us gasping for breath. What follows, however, is an even more mind-blowing sequence pitting our heroine against the entire Crazy 88. If you thought those numbers were skewed unfairly, you'd be right. But the Bride absolutely slays. Limbs and heads are chopped off with bloody, reckless abandon. In fact, there's so much red spewing, the fight switches to black and white to avoid an NC-17 rating. Quentin Tarantino is known for his over-the-top violence, and here is where that style arguably became fully realized. There are a ton of astounding fight sequences in this two-parter, so the fact that this one stands out the most is really saying something.
Go home to your mother!
Number 6. Jackie Chan vs. Ken Lo, Drunken Master II. While the martial artist has had a long career of superb stunt work, his specific brand of action comedy is never so dynamically exercised as in the Drunken Master movies. This climactic battle initially sees Chan being utterly manhandled by Ken Lo's character, to the point that he's seared on a bed of hot coals. Just when things are looking grim, Chan makes like Popeye and downs a secret weapon, which for him just happens to be alcohol. Re-energized, Chan flexes his acrobatic prowess by thoroughly pummeling his opponent in a variety of ways. With physicality like this, it's easy to see why he became such an icon. Number 5. Church Fight, Kingsman: The Secret Service.
I'm a Catholic whore, currently enjoying Congress out of wedlock with my black Jewish boyfriend who works in a military abortion clinic. So hail Satan, and have a lovely afternoon, madam.
When villain Richmond Valentine activates rage-inducing SIM cards in a hate church, Kingsman agent Harry Hart is caught in one of the most badass battle royales ever put to film. With Leonard Skinner's Freebird playing, and the camera jerkily shifting from one kill to the next, we are instantly sucked into the mayhem. Hart's bullets may eventually run out, but that doesn't stop the mind-controlled Kingsman agent from turning any object into a deadly weapon. The movie was already great, but this scene definitely cemented that fact. Number 4. Bruce Lee vs. Chuck Norris, The Way of the Dragon. It was the movie martial arts matchup to end all matchups. With the climactic showdown appropriately taking place in the Roman Colosseum, the bare-chested Lee and the decidedly not bare-chested Norris show the utmost respect for one another before the fight. But once the shirts drop, all bets are off. This fight is simple in that it doesn't require fancy camera work and editing to excite, but rather it puts two powerhouse fighters in frame and lets them do the rest. While Norris puts on a good show, Lee ultimately disables his character and kills him when he stubbornly persists. Worthy of the gladiators? We say yes. Also, Kitty. Number 3, Ip Man vs. 10 Black Belts. Ip Man. We move now from Bruce Lee to the master who trained him, or at least an actor portraying him. Donnie Yen takes on the eponymous role in this famous biopic, which is fairly loosely based on real events. Though the movie fabricated some historical details, it led to one of the most entertaining and spectacular demonstrations of skill in a martial arts movie. Incensed over the death of his friend Master Liu, Ip Man charges into General Miura's dojo and demands to fight 10 karate black belts at once. His wish is granted, and the previously phlegmatic Ip Man holds nothing back. Absolutely decimating the forces in his path, he sends a clear message to the general. Do not underestimate us. Number 2, nightclub fight. John Wick.
Why don't you take the night off?
Thank you, sir.
The John Wick movies have boasted impressive fight choreography, from the home invasion in the first movie to the escape scene featuring trained dogs in the third. However, what really sold us on Keanu Reeves returning as a bona fide action star was his rampage through a New York nightclub in search of the man responsible for stealing his car and killing his dog. Though most of the killing is done through gunplay, there's enough well-timed physical combat interspersed throughout for it to qualify for this list. Set to the perfect dubstep song, if ever there were such a thing, the sequence is as impressively staged and pulse-pounding as it gets while still feeling grounded. You get that, dog killer John. Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. Subway Fight. The Matrix. If there's anything this list shows, it's that Keanu Reeves is the apparent king of movie fight scenes, as he takes the top 2 spots on our list.
What is he doing?
He's beginning to believe.
His sparring match with Morpheus earlier on is definitely badass, but we really have to give it to this underground brawl for its elevated stakes and groundbreaking special effects. Neo finds himself at the mercy of Agent Smith in a subway, but ready to accept his destiny as the One, he puts up more of a fight than Smith expected. And boy, is it a sight to behold. The slowed down and sped up visual flares only add to the dynamic nature, creating one epic duel.
It is the sound of your death. Goodbye, Mr. Anderson. My name is Neo.
Is there an incredible movie fight we forgot? Sorry for messing up. Tell us your favorites in the comments.
Sorry about the mess.
Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.